Wednesday, January 25th to order. May I have a roll call, please?
Chairman Amanda Denmark.
Here.
Vice Chairman Charlie Whitmore.
Here.
Commissioner Kathleen Duncan.
Here.
Commissioner Rich Delfor.
Here.
Commissioner Jason Stewart.
Here.
Commissioner Jim Flynn.
Here.
Commissioner Lydia DePaul.
Okay, we have adoption of the agenda, but I do have a couple of changes I would like for the agenda. First, I would like to remove item 4 off of the agenda. And I would like to move item 5 to the new number 2 position, please. And then at the very end of the agenda, so the last item, I would like to add for action, voting the chair, vice chair, and DRC member.
So moved. Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. May I have an adoption of the minutes from December 14th?
So moved.
From second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Notice regarding public comments. Every member of the public who is recognized to speak shall address the chairman and in speaking avoid disrespect to the commission, town staff, and other members of the meeting. State your name and address and speaking for the record. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. Do we have any public comment?
We do not.
And none for any agenda items? Okay. Great. Do we have any old business? And we will get straight to the new business. Indigo Cove Townhomes, a request by David Craig of Indigo Cove Property Owner LLC for approval of a street naming application. Dane.
Okay, thank you. The street naming application for Indigo Cove Townhomes. It's a request by David Craig of Material Capital Partners on behalf of Indigo Cove Property Owner LLC for approval of a street naming application. The applicant's requesting approval of the following street names to be used for the future development of Indigo Cove Townhomes. Road names are Blue Point Boulevard, accepted with no conflict. Rice Harbor Point, accepted with no conflict. And the 2 additional names they provided were denied. Those were Granville Gardens and Barony Bluff. This current street naming application was reviewed at the December 28, 2022 meeting of the Development Review Committee with 2 of the 4 street names approved. On April 27, 2022, the Town of Bluffton Planning Commission approved the preliminary development plan for Indigo Cove Townhomes, an 83-unit townhome development. Excuse me. The town staff is currently awaiting final development plan submittal. On October 26, 2022, the Town of Bluffton Planning Commission approved a street naming application for the Indigo Cove Townhomes residential development for the following 11 new street names. And there they are listed. Those have already been approved. And this current street naming application provides additional potential names for the 4 roads to be built as part of the development. Planning Commission actions are to approve the application as submitted by the applicant, approve the application with conditions, or deny the application as submitted by the applicant. Here are the review criteria. And the staff recommendation is town staff finds that 2 of the proposed 4 new street names are acceptable and meet the requirements of Article 3 of the Unified Development Ordinance as stated above. Staff recommendation is staff finds the requirements of Section 3153 have been met and recommends that the Planning Commission approve the following 2 new street names, Blue Point Boulevard and Rice Harbor Point.
Who is the applicant here? Do they wish to speak?
You wish to speak?
Okay. Does anyone have any questions, comments? Any questions?
I move we accept the recommended 2 street names recommended by staff.
Second.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Thank you. Okay, we're going to go to the Village at Verdier Master Plan Amendment, a request by Dan Kiefer, Whitmer Jones Kiefer, on behalf of the property owner Charlie and Brown LLC for approval of the Master Plan Amendment application.
Okay.
Thank you. This is a master plan amendment for Village at Verdier. Here's an aerial location of the Village at Verdier master plan. This is off of Okeechobee Highway, just south of Fording Island Road. The road that enters into it is Seagrass Station. Here's another shot of it. What's highlighted in yellow on the west side there is actually the area where the amendments take place. It will be further explained in a second. Requested change is the applicant Dan Kiefer of Whitmer Jones Kiefer, with authorization of property owners Charlie and Brown LLC and Bright Holdings LLC, is requesting approval for an amendment to the currently approved master plan for Village at Verdier, located in the Village at Verdier PUD. More specifically, the amendment request includes: 1, removal of a previously approved residential access point connection to South Carolina Highway 170 or Okeechobee Highway between parcels Y and Z. I'll have a slide that shows these closer in 1 minute. Second request is removal of a previously approved road in parcel X. And then the third one was per town staff request. The master plan has been further amended to reflect changes that have occurred on the ground during the development of Village at Verdier since the master plan was approved. We had a couple developments within the Village at Verdier that kind of varied a bit from the master plan. We didn't amend the master plan at that time, so this is really just playing catch up to what's developed on the ground for that third request. This is the existing master plan. Sorry, hold on 1 second. I'll be referring to, this is parcel X, this is parcel Y, and this is parcel Z. Right now with the existing master plan, this is Okeechobee Highway SC 170. We show a connection that runs between parcels Y and Z and into the residential development behind it. Also have a connection here and a parallel road running within parcel X. The proposed master plan, what's being proposed is turning this not into a direct public access, but actually it will be a gated emergency only access at this point. And also the parallel road being removed here. So the left is the existing parallel road I just mentioned in parcel X. And to the right is what is proposed, and should note that the removal of this road from the master plan does not change the overall density cap for commercial development in the Village at Verdier PUD. This is, on your left is existing, and it shows the connector road going back into the residential behind parcels Y and Z. And what's being proposed is a public access being replaced with a gated emergency access. These are the review criteria. Pre-application meeting was in September of 2022. Had a check-in meeting in October of 2022. This went to DRC on November 23rd, 2022. We are here tonight for the Planning Commission meeting. That's January 25th, 2023. And of course, you're making a recommendation to town staff for an amendment to the master plan. So the date for the town council meeting is to be determined. Planning Commission actions for consideration are recommend approval of the application as submitted by the applicant, recommend approval of the application with conditions, or recommend denial of the application as submitted by the applicant. Town staff recommendation is approval. Town staff finds that all of the requirements of section 3.9.3 of the Unified Development Ordinance have been met, and recommends that the Planning Commission provide a recommendation of approval to Town Council for the Village at Verdier Master Plan Amendment.
Any questions for Dan before I open up to applicants?
applicant like to speak?
Thank you for adjusting the agenda for us. I'm Dan Kiefer, Whitmer Jones Kiefer, and we have our couple other team members here that I can introduce as we go along. So we're really here tonight just to answer questions. Dan, the one thing that you didn't present, I just want to make sure was in the packet with the letters from the property owners.
Yes, the HOA letter.
So you guys received that?
Yep, it's included in the invitation of editors.
Okay, good. Just want to make sure that was noted.
Could you just give us maybe a summary of why you're changing the master plan?
Sure. The
Summary.
intended use for the sites Y and Z is intended to be, I don't know if we want to get into the use of that, but it's a use that's more of a private use where the traffic, from a safety standpoint, monitoring traffic coming in and out is very important to that end user. And we want to be able to provide, obviously, the emergency access, but we want to be able to control who's coming in and out of that property. And then for the X property, that's the one closest to the main intersection,
Put that on the screen.
goes north. That one is mainly to provide flexibility for future planning. And that property will come, obviously, both these properties will come back for development plan approval. So, for example, if it's one user, that connectivity through there may be different than just that straight road. So we're not saying there wouldn't be connectivity through there. We just don't want to be allocated to that location. So now is the time, staff recommendation to include that as well. And as you can see, there are other updates on the plan.
Okay, thanks.
All right.
Anybody have any questions? Comments, concerns?
What about the connection that goes to the north through that multifamily? That's being brought as well.
Yeah, that's not part of our approval. We were just updating that on behalf of staff. Something that's already happened. It's outside of our control. We're just updating the map to reflect what's existing.
Well, as far as I know, that parcel hasn't been developed, or am I incorrect on that? I thought when I looked at the aerial, there was nothing there. It was a big parcel.
Yeah, the other one.
Which one are we talking about?
There's a connection that, on the left side of the map, near the purple, that goes to the,
You're talking about on the
left,
bottom?
and they're taking that off. And he's saying that that's basically already existing, and this is to bring it up into conformance with what's currently out there.
The Crown at 170 apartments actually built further into it, so this reflects the property that the Crown at 170 apartments covers, the purple area you're looking at there. We do still want this connection northward. We just don't know how it's going to happen.
But that's not this project.
But it's not a request by the applicant.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
What we can do is we can have them update this plan when it goes to town council to show an arrow, just making that connection for in the future.
Because they can go, and I'm sorry, it wasn't vacant, it was developed, but you could still punch through there.
There is an opportunity that something could happen in the future. So what we'll do is we'll have them updated to show not necessarily a road, but just a dotted arrow line for
Future
future,
connection.
possible for future connectivity.
Yeah, because we're not asking to change that,
Yep.
so we can change back to where it was originally.
Yes.
So are the curb cuts that you see going into that X parcel, are those already existing? Where you can see where it goes in and you've pushed up the line, but it looks like that road would go through there. That's what we're taking out. Is that access point already existing?
Yeah, we do have new access.
So you potentially could shift that closer to the road even than where it's shown. Like it doesn't,
You're talking about the driveway into where, on
the drive that they're taking out where that where exit parcel is,
up
So-
near the clubhouse.
up near the clubhouse.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I think they just are showing a diagram, like overlay on top of what was there, and just saying that they don't know what the future is going to be. And so however, it may not be that particular exact location. I think there's still going to be some type of connectivity, but until they know or somebody develops that, there's not, they just don't want to be bound by a specific road. Is that correct?
Correct, yes.
If it helps, what we do, again, have them do like a dotted
Future connectivity.
feature will provide connectivity, not necessarily in the form of a 50-foot wide roadway, but it might be connecting through a parking lot in order to get that connection. We can easily have them update that before it goes to town council.
I just don't want those access points to shift closer to the road either.
Understandable, yeah.
And I'm sure there's different codes that give you a distance of how far away they need to be
Yes,
from.
absolutely.
So, okay. Does anyone want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve the town staff's recommendation to go ahead and on this plan.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
Do I have any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Enjoy the game.
Thank you.
Okay, so now we're gonna go to New Riverside Barn Park. Certificate of appropriateness, a request by Court Actions Architects on behalf of the town of Bluffton for approval of a certificate of appropriateness highway corridor overlay.
Good evening, Commissioners. As Chairwoman Denmark just indicated, this is a certificate of appropriateness for the Highway Corridor Overlay District. It is in association with a public project that was reviewed by the Development Review Committee just a few months ago. So the park area of this was part of that review. This is for the infrastructure that's related to the barn structure. So this is the existing red barn that you have all seen out there if you've ever driven down May River Road. And they're going to be making improvements to that structure in order to be able to utilize that space rather than having it sit vacant as it currently has been for the past few years. The location of meaning as long as I've been here. The location of this project is in the southwest quadrant of the 170 traffic circle. It is indicated here with the star. So this area here has got the fire station as well as the barn in it, and is on New Riverside Road is the access point for that. This is the site plan for this project's work. So you've got the barn located here. There is a small dumpster enclosure that is located off here. May River Road is towards the bottom right side of the screen here, and you're looking at New Riverside Road that runs along the bottom of the screen there. They have provided some renderings for us, so the structure will be getting a facelift by having the porches added to both sides of it here, adding windows and doors along the sides to provide more light into this structure, as well as a bathroom and kitchen facility area being added on so that the space can be used for events. This is another viewpoint of it, so you can have the other one. While they are modifying the structure, they're trying to keep some of the character the same. So it is a barn as you drive into town. It'll still be a barn as you drive into town, just a little bit different looking barn. This is the roof plan for the structure. So you can see this is the main portion of the barn that already exists. They've included those shed roofed porches on either side, as well as that kitchen and bathroom facility space that is on the left-hand side of your screen. And then these are the formal elevations. So you kind of just saw these while you were looking at the renderings, but these are the up close and personals. If you need to take a look at them closer, I am happy to flip back. These are the colors that are going to be used for it with the indicators on the elevations. Those were all included in your packets. I have an actual color board on one of the pages, but it just lists out the materials and not the specific locations. So as you can see here, columns, shutters, louvers, windows, it explains it, but it's labeled more specifically on each of the elevations. So. And then here's the landscape plan. Again, part of this has already been reviewed as part of the public project. So this is the portion that is in the dark gray dashed little area here and down here. So it's the barn, and there's an oyster roasting area that is part of that there. So again, I am flying through this. I am happy to go back to any slide, but you all do have this in your packet. So hopefully we have been able to take a look at that. Here's the landscape plan. I did discuss this with town staff as portion of it. And just a few of the things that commissioners brought up yesterday to us was that the benches, planters, and trash cans, there's a little bit of a conflict between the traditional and contemporary style of those. They said they'd be happy to take another look at it. That doesn't mean that necessarily the choices are going to be changed differently, but they'll take a look at those to make sure that they're all going to be congruent. As well as the gutters, it sounds like have already been something that they flagged themselves, so thank you guys for pointing that out. They're going to take a look at that, and then the finished colors of the lights, I drew attention to those as well. So they'll take a look at those as they start to get further towards this project being at the point where you're going to install lights and things like that. So those items have been looked at. This is the dumpster enclosure. It is just a wood paneled structure, very minimal, but it will blend right into the hopeful background there, so you won't even notice it, as well as the trellis structure. This is the lighting plan for within that little area. And then the sheets that show which each of these symbols are in your packet as well with those. So those are the ones that have the little diagrams on them. Oh, these right here. So these are the pages that I was indicating. And this is one of those mixed metal things that we were talking about. So I've indicated that to them. Because this is located in the Jones Estate PUD, New Riverside PUD. This is in the New Riverside PUD. It is not reviewed by the design criteria which are found in our Unified Development Ordinance. Instead, it is reviewed by the HCOD corridor criteria that are found in the New Riverside PUD, which does happen to be the same as Jones Estate, in that 90-3 Development Zoning Standards Ordinance. So that's the DZSO, which has been referenced throughout your packet. In addition to that PUD, it is reviewed by the development plan. In this case, it's not actually a development plan, it is a public project, so it is in compliance with that, as well as the covenants and restrictions, which the town is the covenant and restriction declarant on that, so it has been reviewed and is in compliance with all of those standards there as well. And then the applications manual, which the items in the packet are what we have seen before. The Planning Commission tonight has the authority to take the following actions. They are able to approve the application as submitted by the applicant, approve the application with conditions, or deny the application as submitted with the applicant. Town staff found these 3 items that need just a little bit of clarification from y'all. If you have, they're the ones that do not meet the ordinance specifically. They are things that we've seen before, specifically the roof slope. This one is a 3 and 12 on the 2 porch additions. The cupola and main structure, as well as the kitchen bathroom addition, do meet that 4 and 12. It is the 2 shed porches that are being added onto the sides which are not meeting that 4 and 12. They're meeting a 3 and 12. And then the LED lights, that's something that we have seen several times in the past. This code didn't take into consideration LED lights because they weren't something that was commonly used at the time it was written. So that's something that we have seen in the past as well. And then the last one is the determination on the appropriateness of the illumination levels, which exceed the maximum for the decorative and landscape by 0.6 foot candles at the maximum, which is permitted to be a 5.0. It does not exceed that for a commercial parking area, walkway, or streets. So because this is a event space, it's one of those items where it kind of falls in a gray area and one of them has to be applied. So the decorative landscaping is the one that is the closest to what it is, but it does have a little bit more of a dense use than that. So it's something to take into consideration as you review this application. I have town staff and members from the design team behind me here in the audience who would be happy to answer any questions that you have. I am also here to answer questions. That's what I've got.
Anyone have any questions for Katie? Would the applicant like to speak?
I do have one while he's coming up. The LED lighting, we're running into this all the time. Is this something we can fix?
No,
I know we could with the UDO, but this isn't
Right.
UDO.
we don't have the ability to change the code. That's the whole point, is that the code was established, that they have this certain time frame to be able to use it. So we just will continue to
Each one.
each one when the LED comes through, and
Okay.
so
Thank you.
that's it.
All right, my name is Pat Rooney, I'm CIP manager for the town, and I'll try to see if I can go through some of these comments that came up yesterday in your 2x2 meetings. Gutters on the building, there are some shown on the building. We had a meeting, what was it, last week, about that particular issue and how we were going to pick up additional gutters to make sure that the drainage was taken care of off the roofs. So I think that's in process, and we can present plans to town staff during the process here to get those covered. The consistency of the bench, trash, and planters, again, we do have the bench and the trash receptacles are town standard that our public service department, our town manager wants us to use those in this project. The planter itself, we have options, we can look at different options, that's not an issue with us. We would like to see them be consistent. There was a comment related to photometrics showing all lighting, including landscape lighting, bollards, low-level type lighting. That's not something that I've experienced that really has been something that past highway corridor review people have required. They want to see the dominion lighting, the area lighting, the high-level lighting, but usually these low-level lights are kind of down, and they're cut-off type fixtures, they're low to the ground, they're not really impacting in terms of the overall light reflectivity of the site. So I'm willing to look into that, but that's kind of a difficult thing to come across when you have building lights, you have several different types of landscape lights, different manufacturers, and getting a person that can kind of put that all together into a package for a photometric plan is not an easy thing to do. And just want to make sure that's a necessary thing to do. And I guess I'll let James talk about anything related to the building that you've discussed. Is there any other things site-related?
You have some?
Well, one other thing. I think there's a comment related to consistency of the materials of the light fixtures. Yeah, we're more than willing to look at all the light fixtures, make sure they're consistent. Most of those fixtures come in brass, aluminum, different copper, all kinds of black, white, different colors, so we can all make them consistent. That's not an issue for us.
There's a couple of bricks that are shown within there. I'm assuming that would be cleaned up as you go through the process, and they'll all be the same.
In terms of the brick type and color, yeah. I mean, there was a material board. What did you spec on there?
We actually spec'd the brick that was similar to the fire
station.
But I think there's some landscape brick pavers and stuff that had a slightly different. So we talked to Trey and Kyle. Sorry, I'm talking from sitting down. James Atkins with Court Actions Group. Talked with Trey and Kyle about getting those coordinated and make sure that they all play well together.
Is there a brick on the building?
Not on the building.
Okay.
There's some planter walls and things that are on vertical surface versus the horizontal surface.
So it's because
James, just come closer to the mic.
Sorry.
the only reason there was in the landscape plan, it said match architecture, which I think is just a holdover from typical details. So it was just one of those. There was Savannah Gray that was also mentioned in the landscape details. So I know wooden partners as well, and I know well enough to know they are very good about and thorough. So I just want to make sure that gets looked at. So I saw the bike racks were taken off of the plan. I think being that this is kind of a recreational center, was there a reason for taking?
Is there a requirement for a bike rack?
I don't think in the 90-3 there's any kind of requirements for a bike rack. We do have bike racks down near the restroom building. There was some discussion about the bike racks not cluttering up the front of the front entryway with something like that. So that's why we removed it.
So they're elsewhere on the property.
Yes.
Okay. The lighting, that was a comment that came from me. As I understand it, in the 90-3, it says you've got to show the foot candles throughout the property for all lighting, not just the parking lot lighting, but on all surfaces. So like where all the walkways are. It's not that I think that this lighting will be extraordinary. I don't think we're looking at for Las Vegas in here. It's just that I want to make sure that we're consistent what rules are applied to all applicants on this project. And I am sensitive to manufacturers in the lighting industry don't want to help with that information, and they're providing lumens, not foot candles on a surface. So I am sensitive to the problem that we have in that inconsistency between what we're requiring and what's available.
But I think if you look at the record of consistency, that has not been a requirement. It is literally, yeah, if you were to read the requirement literally, it does mention walkways and such. But in terms of enforcement of that over the years, and Hilton Head, same way, their DRB does not require a photometric plan that includes landscape lighting. So I just think
Let me help you there. I think we're focusing on the parking lots. We have the walking trails. There is lighting on the walking trails. One of the bigger concerns that we normally have is with commercial development right up against the roadway and have the bleeding light that's out onto the roadway. This is low wattage, low intensity. It's meant to be around the parking lot. It's not meant to light up this entire site. So
For safety and
it's
circulation.
enough for safety, circulation for the walkway. Parking lot will be lit, and then I think we're good with that.
With the intended use of it as a park with citizens, us going out there and walking around, I think if anything, I would rather err on the side of more light than less, to be honest with you. I know we've got our numbers that we go by, but I also think of safety in this particular use. And I don't know if this is something that needs to be addressed in the code for municipal use or for park use. That might be something we want to look at.
you want to address the 3 and 12?
When we talk about
Yeah,
the
go
roof.
ahead.
So we tried to put a 412 on it. We've got some transom windows for natural light in there. When you put 412 right up tight to the transoms, the head height of the beam and the porches gets way too low. And so in order to try to get as much vertical proportion on the porches, we made the decision that a 312 is also an appropriate shed porch roof slope. I know that it's come before. This is really kind of an extension of New Riverside and Palmetto Bluff, and there are 312 porch slope roofs everywhere. And so we did make the kitchen addition, as Katie mentioned, and the connector, and everywhere we could get 412 plus, but it just, it really did kind of change the proportions of the additional porches on the.
You know what I'm gonna say?
What you said.
Because of the UDO, we have to go by that, so it's the same speech I can, like last time probably, that we may not agree with things in the UDO, we still have to abide by the UDO, so it's just a continuation of that conversation.
It's kind of like the LED, and again,
But we try to be aware of that and to follow it as much as possible. I understand there are exceptions, but we can't keep doing it.
I mean, we studied at 412 and it didn't work. So we can lose the transoms, which is something that the town asked for to get for the natural light, because we're adding the porches on the side, which will darken the space. So we wanted to put the transoms up high to get the natural light in, or that's really the only option, because we don't want a
Saying it for the
7-foot
record.
beam.
Because I want you to understand, I understand why you did it, and I agree with 312s are everywhere. It's just we have to abide by the codes.
I just had one question. It's not a criticism, it's a question. Why are we putting the name in big letters on the side of the building?
It's already there on the other side.
Is it?
Yeah, it's already there.
Okay. We're just matching the other side.
That way you know where you are when you're.
I guess.
Want to add anything?
Yeah, I actually did. I really think we would need to revisit the code and the pitch of the roof and get that 312 in there. And if we're gonna keep doing this, because this is 3 or 4 times within the last 8 months. And it's getting, and please don't take this the wrong way, it's just getting old that we have to revisit this. Maybe we need to revisit it in the code so that it's not an issue in the future, is the thought I had.
Commissioner Whitmer, that is the same ordinance that the LED lights fall under. It's in the 90-3 as well as the Unified Development Ordinance. This one specifically is from 90-3 and not the Unified Development Ordinance, so it's in the same dilemma that we have with the lighting for LED, that we cannot open up that development agreement to modify that without a domino effect going through that, and we can't open up the town can't open it up because it is a contractual agreement. So when that comes up for renewal, then it's something.
We add it for our list for the UDO.
Yeah.
And then that way.
And what I would say is I need a better understanding of those, and that's an offline conversation. I'd love to have that with staff so I understand it better. But wherever we can catch it, I'd love to see us catch it.
Yep. That's the list.
Is it long enough yet?
Yes.
So I appreciate that you've tried, that's what I wanted to make sure. You're trying 4 and 12, you're not just coming in and giving us 3 12s all the time because it's easy.
Absolutely. And I can attest that we put a 412 on it, it looked awful. So we knew that we would get the comment, we felt it was still appropriate, present it to you all, and again, you're there to determine if it still looks good and meets the intent of the ordinance or not.
But if you did a 412 and kept the transoms, it'd probably be, 4 feet tall at the...
Yeah, I mean, the porch is here.
I mean, and two, this is an existing building, so you do have constraints. So I just want to make sure that it's clear for the public.
Not to beat a dead horse, but I'm doing it anyway. With that, to do the 412 on this project, and I know you said you played with it, so I'm assuming that meant you shortened up the porch in order to make that, so that you still had the height above that first level and didn't encroach on the transoms. How wide was the porch then at that point?
We looked at all, and we started on the front side where the restrooms are. Got our restrooms to the minimum, the hallway circulation for the program, and that's kind of where the depth went. And then on the back side, if it gets too small, it's not really it gets down to 8 feet, it's not a functional porch. You really need to get to that 10 to 12 foot for a gathering porch on there. So we looked at all sorts of options on that. And it just, the decision was to keep the transoms and lower the roof pitch in order to get the natural light in.
You need that light in the building.
So but we looked at all the options and we just felt like this was the appropriate one to bring to you all to review.
Okay, is there anything else?
The signage that's on the side of the building, you're saying it is currently there, it's not been painted off, it's like today, I can go out there and I can see New Riverside on the side of the barn.
Yeah.
It's kind of a unique feature.
Are you repainting it, is that, or are you doing the letters in some other fashion? It just says how tall the letters are in here, it doesn't say that they're existing, are you doing anything are you changing how those letters are done on the side of the building?
No, so we're actually we'll have some boards that are rotted out there that we're going to have to replace and refinish, and so we're going to do our best. We're going to keep as much as we can because we're peeling it off, insulating the walls, putting the wood back on, actually putting rain plane and things that you need to waterproof a building, and then put that back on, and we're basically replicating what's out there now, which is kind of a whitewash stencil on the plank boards.
Maybe he just needs to note it a little bit better on the plan.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Katie, is there repainting that?
So we know that it's not
Do
changed.
they have to go back through the signage approval?
We
Okay.
do not if it's
the
remaining.
exact same.
If it's a new one, then they'll come through it at a later date, and that's just fine.
Just clarify.
That was approved by the Highway Corridor Review Board way back when it was built. So it's been
I think
there.
it looks cool. It looks like it's been there for 60 years,
Okay, so if there's nothing else, anyone want to make a motion?
I move that we accept the proposal as submitted
Which the staff?
with the staff recommendations.
Second?
Have any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Okay, thank you. All right, Raider Drive Development Plan Application. A request by the applicant and property owner Jake Reed of University Investments for approval of a preliminary development plan. Dan's on this one.
Okay, thank you. This is a preliminary development plan for Raider Drive office building. It's a request by the property owner Jake Reed of University Investments LLC for approval of the preliminary development plan for a one-story, 10,000 square foot office building. It's actually 9,500 square foot office building. The 1.6 acre property is zoned by Buckwalter PUD and is located on the northwest corner of the intersection of Hampton Parkway and Raider Drive within the parcel 10A and 10B master plan. Here's the location, just north of Bluffton Parkway and just west of Hampton Parkway on Raider Drive, actually on that corner. The application is for a preliminary development plan located within the Buckwalter PUD, subject to the standards set forth in the Buckwalter PUD development agreement and concept plan and the parcel 10A and 10B master plan. Project consists of the construction of a one-story, 9,500 square foot office building and the associated access, parking, and utilities to serve the building. A total of 35 parking spaces are required, and the site plan provides 39 parking spaces. Staff comments for the plan, preliminary development plan were reviewed at the November 2022 meeting of the Development Review Committee. On December 27, 2022, the applicant provided a response to comments and updated the site development plan. Here is the site plan. This is Hampton Parkway. This is Raider Drive. The development would be accessed off of Raider Drive. There's actually showing 28 parking spaces on the site plan, but an additional 11 parking spaces are going to be in gravel. They're going to be identified just by parking stops and not with any striping. We have 2 access easements here that get to the substation in the back. Neither of these are going to be impacted. The Planning Commission shall consider the criteria set forth in section 310.3A of the Unified Development Ordinance in assessing an application for a preliminary development plan. These are the criteria. Planning Commission actions are approve the application as submitted by the applicant, approve the application with conditions, table the application, or deny the application as submitted by the applicant. The staff recommendation, staff finds that the requirements of section 3.10.3A of the UDO have been met and recommends the Planning Commission approve the application with the following condition. 1, outdoor storage within the utility easement underneath high voltage transmission lines shall be limited to non-combustible material. Storage of hazardous materials, including but not limited to flammable and combustible liquids, is prohibited. And that's comes from the South Carolina Fire Code, section 316.6.2.
Could you show us on the map where that is that you're referencing?
We have a power line easement running right across the front of this. So it includes the whole section between Raider Drive and the substation and continuing straight down. And the applicant is here, and I can answer any questions if you have any.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions for Dan? Not the applicant, do they wish to speak?
My name is Tim Brusher. Thank you guys for the time showing up here. I'm from Caroline Engineering. We're just here just to answer any questions that you guys got. We got landscaper and as well as the owner to anything you guys need. So.
Anybody want to start?
I'm curious why I don't even know how to point it out, if you enter the driveway, that little dive off to the left, why that's even there?
The property continues to the north across both easements, and we didn't want to cut access to the residual part of those.
Okay, so that's the access between the easements where they'll be entering and leaving the substation?
Correct,
And
yes.
is that where we're talking about the no combustible materials can be stored?
That's correct.
So there can be an outdoor storage yard along the road there?
Yes, that's what they're proposing. No combustibles.
So no vehicles, because those are combustible.
You can park
Right.
underneath right away. You can't store vehicles.
I'm just trying to get a feel
Yeah.
for what
Yeah.
is and isn't, okay.
Yeah, I mean, you might have like material, but just the non-combustible. And that's more for fire, that's a fire marshal issue, so if he sees something, which there's a fire department right across the street, they'll address it at that time.
And how far does that property go up? Does it just go up to where the two easements are, or does it continue?
It's just out of the screen. It doesn't go up more than 5 or 10 feet.
That's correct, yes, that's pretty much the boundary of it. It's 5 feet to the north of that spot.
That's all I have. I'm trying to understand that part of it.
Yeah, that's what I don't want to assume, maybe it's just me, but, so where are you planning on putting that storage?
In between the two driveways?
In between two driveways.
Okay.
You don't know what's going to be stored there at this point?
It's tenant-based storage right now. It's more of a flex building, and we just like the opportunity to be able to put something there.
And putting it there instead of behind the building, thought was what?
Parking?
We're showing parking in the rear right now to meet town codes, and it just frees up the parcel to be able to use the remainder of our parcel.
Now I'm confused because I thought that was a comment about the dumpster that's in the back, but it sounds like this is up front.
Up
Right,
front,
in
that's
between
what I
the
thought,
two.
too.
Vehicular easements, right? That's basically.
Oh, up here by Palmetto,
Because the whole property is like a.
Right, it's an L shape, it's a flag lot, yeah.
It is, but, this is Rayner Drive. The property is L-shaped, like you just said. Probably property line right here, just outside the screen, and it wraps around the substation. So we have 2 access easements to the substation. One is here, one is here, and where we're talking about storage is in this location here, I guess possibly.
Will they be fenced?
There's discussion on
I'm actually asking, like, does code require fencing for the storage or not really?
Yeah.
I'm just curious, I don't know.
When it's a nuisance, if it's like, so they, in the 90-3, they clarify special nuisances, which is basically storage of stuff.
Would this have to come back to us to see any of that?
But they have to meet code, yeah.
You just have to meet code.
No, I wasn't trying to be rude, I just was wondering what code was.
I'm having a little heartburn over this just because this is the edge of the PUD and the perimeter buffer is overlapped by Raider Drive. So there is no perimeter buffer along this section of the Buckwalter PUD. So the adjacent property has, it's entirely incumbent upon them to put any screening between them and here. The other part of this is that property or the building itself is about 20 feet off of the right-of-way of Hampton Parkway, which is a 130-foot right-of-way, which could become like a 4-foot road. It's identified as a major collector on our comprehensive plan, and we offer no screening from any potential expansion of Hampton Parkway in the future, which will just make that highly visible. So from my best ability to discern, it would look to me like at least Hampton Parkway, off of Hampton Parkway, there's a significant setback per the guidelines of 5.2.9.b, which states setbacks from major thoroughfares are 50 feet, but setbacks from all other roadways are half the right-of-way, which in this case would be 65 feet. So I'm not sure how it's even allowed to be that close to Hampton Parkway either.
Kevin, can you?
Are you able? This
know
one's
anything about
surprised
this?
to you because I was going to try to email you sooner, but I couldn't get
It
to
would have
it.
been helpful to know ahead of time. I can't look that up right now.
Well, that's something we can catch in final if we need to.
Yeah. And I can confidently tell you that no point in the future is the town of Bluffton looking to have Hampton Parkway expanded to a 4-lane road.
I mean, it's still 130-foot right of way that,
Yes, and there's over 60 feet, if not more, from that road right away right now.
And there's, in that area, there's a lot of vegetation and
You can't see that site. We can work with the applicant to adjust again, this is preliminary. They haven't gone through full-blown design of the fire retention and ponds. Look to, when they move forward for landscaping, because we don't require the landscaping plan at this moment, we can have them kind of massage it a little bit, make sure that some additional landscaping along that property line with Hampton Parkway is included, so that way, in the future, if something, which it won't, were to expand there, that landscaping would be mature and you would never see that building.
I'd also like to request, and I know we cannot make a condition, that they provide some small to medium-sized shrubs around the parking area and around this storage area to at least soften the parked cars. Again, I know there's no landscaping requirements along that, so there's no foundation planting. I know they cannot fit trees under that power line easement, but some kind of softening in that section would be beneficial to the Raider Drive and just.
We can have them add low-growing landscaping around.
yeah, and especially like, towards that storage area, so it's just not wide open.
Yeah.
Okay.
Landscaping and or decorative fencing.
Something, just to
Yep.
help disguise that. Okay.
Yep.
Anybody else? A motion? Anyone?
I move that we accept the proposal for the Reader Drive office building preliminary plan as submitted with staff adjustments as stated, plus the consideration of the low-growing shrubs.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Do I have any further discussion?
In consideration of adding screening along the property line that fronts the Hampton Parkway.
Or Hampton Park, yeah, both, yeah. Okay. All in favor? Aye. Okay, we got it, thank you. Okay, the last thing on the agenda that I added, and I don't really, is the election of chair, vice chair, and the DRC member, is that correct? So do I just ask for a nomination?
I would like to, in consideration of how well she's done the last year or 2 or 12, however many years you've been chair, I'd like to nominate Amanda to continue as chair.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Okay, may I have a recommendation or a, for vice chair? I would recommend Charlie, because I think he's doing a great job, and I think we've got a pretty good system going with everybody. Second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Okay, and then we have a DRC appointed, so right now I'm on it and Charlie's on it, but we need another member of the planning commission. Right now it's Kathleen. There have been suggestions of other people are interested and maybe rotating people out. So I don't know if anyone has a recommendation for anyone.
Who has expressed interest?
Who would be interested in serving as that third seat?
Mr. Flynn raised his hand.
And Mr. Delcor did as well.
Okay, does anyone want to, or Kathleen, so we have 3 choices.
Nominate you.
I nominate Jim Flynn to be the DRC representative.
I'll second it.
Second. Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. All right. Jim, there you go.
Thank you, man.
All right, any further discussion from anyone about anything? Nope. I have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
And second.
Second.
Third and fourth.
All in favor? I'm gonna do like
Yeah,
Larry.
a lot of
That's what Larry did the other day. I gotta learn how to do it.